So there's the stalks, and then underground is here. You've got these bulbs. In this video, I will be demonstrating how to identify wild green onion or garlic. I think it's technically a garlic, but for all intents and purposes, it can be used in place of spring onions for recipes. So, as you already saw in the intro, this is what it looks like above ground, and below ground are these little bulbs. They do get quite a bit bigger than this, but basically to harvest these, what you're going to need is you're going to need some kind of really crappy knife that you can sort of dig with. You could try and use a shovel, but a knife is really great for getting really like in between and precision, making sure you don't really mess up the bulbs as much. And of course you do need to know how to properly identify them. There are some poisonous lookalikes, but there are very easy ways to identify them as opposed to these wild green onions. So a word of warning before we go further into the video. There are poisonous lookalikes to this wild edible. If you don't feel comfortable properly identifying it, in contrast to its lookalikes, then I would suggest not going out and harvesting and eating these wild edibles. That goes for pretty much any foraging that you would do out in the woods. And if ever you find a plant that you cannot 100% identify to be the plant that you're looking for, then it's best to leave it alone. There is no reason to risk poisoning yourself over a snack. So the first and most obvious defining characteristic is that these look very much like the spring onions you would find in a grocery store. And if I take a smell of it, it does smell very distinctively like an onion. A second and also important identifying characteristic is that these leaves are hollow. Other poisonous lookalikes, other bulbous plants may have similar characteristics, but none of them have hollow tubular leaves like this. So if you can master those two identifying characteristics, you should be fine. So every part of this plant is edible. Of course, you can eat the bulbs, provided you clean them off first. And the lower area of the stems is also very good. The upper area is technically edible, but is not as good. It tends to be a little less flavorful and more fibrous. To harvest these, you're really going to want to dig around the area with a knife. So I'm trying to do this one-handed, so it's not going to be the most easy thing in the world. But essentially, you're going around with care not to really harm the bulbs as much. And you almost want to see if you can't get underneath them and pull them up that way. Now this is fairly rocky ground, so it's not the easiest thing in the world. But if I sort of just pull them up here, you can see this sort of mass came out. And remove the dirt, sort of shake it out a little bit. If you're nearby a stream or something, or can take these into a faucet and clean them up, that's a pretty good idea. But as you can see, those are the bulbs. And that's about it.